Hello, everybody! So it's been my first week at Bäckedals folkhögskola, and it's been wonderful, absolutely amazing. I am feeling so good. Every day has been just fantastic. We have been doing interesting stuff during the day, and then me and some friends have been gathering down by the water, making a fire, watching the sky turn pink and orange, bathing in the river. It's gorgeous. Everything is fantastic. I keep asking myself, can life be as good? Is it allowed to be this good? Is this okay? Sure it is. So, a lot of you have asked about the techniques that I'm learning. So I intend to do these vlog episodes when I have learned something new, to share these techniques with you guys. And the education goes through fairly systematically the history of textile techniques. So what we have been doing this first week is the very, very oldest techniques. So things that have been found in Stone Age and Neolithic sites. So a recreation of those techniques and ways of using fiber. So what we did the first day was exceedingly simple. It was called ögelbindning in Swedish. Doesn't really have a name in English. It's not really nålbinding. Ögelbindning can be translated to loop binding, which is a fairly accurate description of what we've been doing. So I created this little basket, and for visual purposes, I used two different colors so that you can see what is happening. So beginning with a loop of blue, and then repeatedly making knots, loops and knots around it with another thread. Started out with 8, I think, and then do an increase. So on the next round I did 2 in each loop until I was satisfied that I would have a small bowl. Then I started to do the sides, which is then the same number of loops over and over. This can be done without the supporting cord thread, without the blue thread in this case, and then you get something a bit more loose, something a bit more net-like, which can be useful for example, a hat, but also a bag. It's not really a suitable technique for making garments, but this works just fine. So I'm fairly pleased with this. Unlike with, for example, knitting, when you constantly put on fresh thread, fresh yarn on the needle, here you are working with a cut piece of fiber. So no longer than your arm, preferably, because otherwise you're going to get all knots and tangles. And when you run out of thread, you simply have to put on some more. So here we have knot, where I've simply tied 2 pieces of cord together. It's very simple. It takes minutes to learn, and it's fairly uninteresting. I thought it was a bit boring. So yeah, sure, I made a basket, and then I felt content that I didn't feel the need to make anything more using this specific technique, at least not right now. Maybe there will come a time for baskets in the future, what do I know, but not right now. So that was day 1, which was Tuesday, because Monday was just orientation day, like where is stuff? And then Wednesday, we moved on to actual nålbindning or nålbinding, which I have never done before. It was a bit tricky, as with new techniques, but I managed to make this a thingy. Doesn't really have a purpose. I mean, I guess it could become a mitten at some point in its life if I really wanted to. Don't think I want to. So the same as with the previous technique, you work with a set length of yarn, and you are constantly pulling all of the yarn through your loops. Which, I mean, this has its pros and cons. Unlike a knitting, this can't unravel. Like, you can do all the pulling you like, but as this is knots on knots on knots, can't unravel. However, as you're constantly pulling all of the fiber through each loop, that puts more strain on the yarn, so it won't be fresh yarn that you're using. So depending then on the quality of your yarn, if you're working with something very thin, for example, I don't think this is very suitable, because then your yarn is going to wear out while you're working with it. Or you will be able to see that when you get towards the end of a piece of fiber that it's getting more worn, it's getting thinner. But the result is this fairly pretty, see if I can get focus, a bit of fishbone-like structure. I mean, which is neat, which is cool. Still, if I were to make a pair of mittens, for example, I would knit, because I'm an avid knitter, and because this gives less flexibility. I can't change colors, I can't do patterns, so this is just what is happening. But yeah, I know people here who are very interested in, for example, historical recreation of the Viking era. They do a lot of nålbinding, which I'm really not interested in. I'm fine with being in the present day. Third day, which was Thursday, we got to work with leather. So that was what I never worked with leather before. Well, I've been cutting pieces out and gluing stuff to other stuff, for example, to create dance shoes, but I mean, that's gluing, not sewing. So our teacher gave us the instruction to do something small, like a small pouch. And I immediately said, I'm gonna do scissor covers for my scissors. And then pretty much everyone else said, yeah, scissor covers, that's a great idea. So we've done sort of scissor holsters, a bit Clint Eastwoody, like you pull your scissors out and you fast scissoring. You need to cut pieces of something quickly. So this is just 2 pieces of leather. Mirror-wise, they look the same. And I made a string. So again, this is just 1 piece, all of this here, so that I can tie in my scissors. So there we have the scissors. And then the binding here is just cast on. Very simple. So after cutting out the pieces, you take a bit of steel with sharp points at the ends. So the one I used had 4 cutting points. And you put these down and you take a hammer and you bang it, make sure you have a good surface underneath. Don't do this on your desk will be broken. So have a piece of thick leather or wood or a cutting mat underneath when you're doing this. So hammer as evenly as you can all the way around. I had a bit of a problem here at the end. I broke the leather. I got too close to the edge. But I think I got away with it. This is working. So I cut several pieces of thinner leather. So this leather is quite sturdy. The tan one, or the nude color one, and then this brown one is a bit thinner, easier to work with. So I threaded a embroidery needle with the brown leather and went. This is my starting point up here, and then casting this on. And when I got to the end, I left a bit just hanging and then did the same thing from the other side. Again, left a bit hanging. And then with dexterity and stubbornness, I used a nålbinding needle to poke the bits of leather inside. And that locked it really nicely, so this won't flare. This is very, very stable, very sturdy. Yeah, so now I have a scissors cover. And then Friday was beautiful. Oh, it was wonderful. We went to a fjäll, Zornfjället, so a mountain, where they have fäbodsverksamhet, which means that they have small cottages where they let animals graze during the summers. So this is very old and traditional way of doing agriculture, or doing farming, really. This is only with animals. So you would have, above all, young women living in these cottages with the animals during the summers, and they would milk the animals and make cheese and other milk products that would preserve. And I spoke to Margareta, the woman who runs this place, and it's been in her family for 300 years. They have been doing this for 300 years, which is fantastic. So she said, yeah, I wake up in the morning and I have 150 cows. 150? I can't see a single one. No, they're all up on the mountain grazing, doing whatever cows do during the day. But I did meet some goats. Got many kisses from a goat, the kissing goat, which was lovely. It was wonderful. And then we got home and went to bed because everyone was tired. So that's the excitement. Yesterday we went to a flea market, got ourselves a pot and a waffle iron. So now we can, waffle iron, is it called that? Maybe it is. So now we can do both dinner and dessert over open fire by the water, which is excellent. Absolutely excellent. That's about it. Those are all the techniques I have done this week. Next week we will do dyeing. So we're going to do textile and fiber dyeing. And I have a book. A moment. This one that I brought with me, which I'm very excited about. I started reading it. It's very, very thorough. I like things that are thorough. Lots of text, lots of pictures, lots of species of plants. So that's what we're going to be doing next week. So apron on and clothes you don't care about, because this will stain, most probably. And I'm a messy person. Yeah, that's it. Any questions? Leave in the comments. You know how YouTube works. And I'll see you next time I have something to share with you. Bye!